There is something happening to you right now that you have been explaining away. You've been calling it coincidence. You've been calling it luck. You've been calling it your imagination running hot because you want something so badly that you're starting to see patterns everywhere. You've been doing what most people do when reality starts speaking in a language more precise than words. You've been looking at the message and then looking away, quickly, before it can mean too much. But here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. You didn't find this video. You were routed here. And the part of you that knows the difference between stumbling and being guided, that part is already paying attention. That part has been paying attention for a while now. The question is whether the rest of you is willing to catch up, because something has been trying to reach you. Not in the vague, comfortable, metaphorical way that makes for nice quotes on social media. In the precise, measurable, undeniable way that quantum mechanics has been pointing at for over 100 years. Something in the structure of reality itself has been bending in your direction, sending signals, aligning events, collapsing probability fields in ways that keep producing the same impossible message. And you have been standing at the edge of that message, reading the first 3 words, and then walking away before you get to the part that changes everything. Today, you read the whole thing. Today, we look at what a synchronicity actually is. Not what it feels like, not what it means spiritually, but what it is at the level of physics, at the level of consciousness, at the level of the quantum field that underlies every apparently solid thing in your experience. We look at why certain people receive these signals and most people don't. We look at what it means that you've been receiving them. We look at what happens when you stop treating them as coincidences and start treating them as data. And we look at the thing you've been most carefully not looking at, which is the possibility that you are not an ordinary person navigating an ordinary life, but something far more specific than that, something that the universe has been trying to communicate with for a very long time. Watch what happens when you finally let yourself see that. Let's start with what most people get completely wrong about synchronicity. Most people think a synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. That's the definition that's been floating around since Carl Jung first named the phenomenon in the mid-20th century, and it's not wrong exactly, but it's so incomplete that it functions almost as a misdirection. Calling a synchronicity a meaningful coincidence is like calling a symphony a meaningful arrangement of air pressure fluctuations. Technically accurate, completely missing the point. Here's what a synchronicity actually is. A synchronicity is a signal from the quantum field that you are in alignment with a specific probability trajectory. It is the universe's way of confirming, not suggesting, confirming that the path you are on, the thought you are thinking, the direction you are moving, is coherent with a larger pattern that was already in motion before you consciously chose it. A synchronicity is not the universe being poetic, it is the universe being precise. And this is where the quantum mechanics becomes essential, because without it, synchronicity sounds like wishful thinking. With it, it sounds like exactly what it is. A measurable phenomenon that emerges from the observer-dependent nature of reality itself. Here's what physics actually tells us. At the quantum level, particles do not have definite positions, definite states, definite trajectories until they are observed. Before observation, they exist in what physicists call superposition, a simultaneous state of all possible positions, all possible states, all possible trajectories at once. The act of observation, the act of a conscious system interacting with a quantum system, collapses that superposition into a single definite outcome. One reality out of infinite possibilities becomes actual. The rest remain potential. This is not a philosophical interpretation. This is the result of the most precisely tested theory in the history of science. Quantum mechanics has been verified to an accuracy of better than 1 part in a trillion. The observer effect is not debatable. What you observe, you change. What you measure, you alter. The act of looking is not a passive reception of information that was already there. It is an active participation in the creation of what is there. Now look closer. If reality at its most fundamental level is observer-dependent, if the act of conscious attention genuinely participates in collapsing probability into actuality, then what happens when a conscious observer develops a particular quality of attention? What happens when a specific person begins to observe reality with unusual clarity, unusual precision, unusual coherence? What happens to the probability field around that person? It reorganizes, it has to, because the observer and the observed are not separate systems, they are entangled. And when one part of an entangled system changes, the other part responds, not gradually, not eventually, but instantaneously, regardless of the apparent distance between them. This is quantum entanglement. This is not metaphor. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and he spent years trying to disprove it. He couldn't, because it's real. What this means, what this actually means for your life, for your experience, for the signals you've been receiving, is that when you shift the quality of your inner observer, reality around you shifts in response. Not because you're manifesting in the pop psychology sense of the word, not because you're attracting things with your vibration in the vague, unverifiable way that phrase usually means, but because you are a quantum observer embedded in a quantum field, and the field responds to your observation with the same precision and immediacy that a quantum particle responds to measurement. Synchronicities are the visible evidence of that response. They are the moments when the reorganization of the probability field around you becomes undeniable, when the coincidence is too precise, too specific, too perfectly timed to be random. When you think of someone and your phone rings with their name on the screen, when you're about to give up on something and a stranger says the exact words you needed to hear, when you see the same number, the same symbol, the same phrase 3 times in 3 hours, in 3 completely unrelated contexts. When the book falls open to the exact page, when the song plays at the exact moment, when the conversation turns to the exact subject, these are not accidents, they are confirmations. They are the quantum field showing you, in the only language that can reach through the noise of ordinary perception, that you are on a coherent trajectory, that your observation is aligned with something real, something moving, something that was always going to arrive at exactly this moment. But here's what no one tells you about synchronicities. Most people experience them as a feeling of wonder and then immediately begin to doubt them. They let the wonder last about 30 seconds before the analytical mind steps in and starts generating alternative explanations. Confirmation bias, pattern recognition run amok, selective memory. The brain's tendency to notice what it's already looking for, and those explanations aren't entirely wrong. The brain does do those things, and those mechanisms do produce false positives. But here's what the skeptical mind never accounts for: the precision. Random pattern matching produces approximate coincidences, vague resemblances, the kind of coincidence where you stretch a little to make it fit. But genuine synchronicities have a quality of precision that is almost aggressive. They don't require you to stretch. They land with a specificity that makes the analytical mind go quiet for a moment before it starts generating its defenses. You know the difference. You felt the difference. The question is whether you're willing to trust what you felt. Watch what happens in your body right now as I say this. Notice if there's a recognition, not an agreement, not a belief, but a recognition, something that was already there before I said it, simply being seen. That recognition, that's data. If this transmission is reaching you the way I think it is, take a second to like this video and subscribe so the next one finds you at exactly the right moment too. Let me show you something. There is a story, not old in the way of fairy tales, but old in the way of something that has happened in 1,000 different forms to 1,000 different people across every culture that has ever paid attention to the structure of experience. This particular version happens to a man named Elias. Elias is 34 years old, and he is at the precise point in his life where everything he built is still standing, but nothing he built is working. The career is intact, the apartment is furnished, the relationships are functional. But there is a gap between the life he is living and the life he can feel waiting for him, a gap he has been filling with productivity and distraction, and the very reasonable argument that what he feels waiting for him is probably just a fantasy, probably just the brain's tendency to imagine greener grass, probably not worth the risk of dismantling everything he spent a decade constructing. He is not unhappy. He is precise. He is good at his job. He is responsible. He has simply stopped listening. And then the signals start. It begins with a number. Elias starts seeing 1111 everywhere. On his phone at the precise moment he glances at it. On receipts, on license plates, on the timestamp of emails he opens without looking at the clock first. He notices it, feels the brief flash of something, recognition, wonder, the edge of meaning, and then does what he has trained himself to do with things that don't fit his framework. He explains it away. Confirmation bias, selective attention. The brain noticing what it's primed to notice. But the signals don't stop, they escalate. He thinks about a conversation he had years ago with a mentor who told him he was meant to do something different with his life, something that required more courage than competence. And that afternoon, completely unprompted, that mentor calls him for the first time in 6 years. He is reading an article about a completely unrelated topic, and a phrase leaps out of the text that answers a question he asked himself in the shower that morning, a question he hadn't spoken aloud to anyone. He walks into a coffee shop he's never been to before, and the song playing is the one his mother used to sing when he was a child. The one she sang specifically when she was trying to tell him something important without saying it directly. And here's where Elias does the thing that most people do. He becomes afraid. Not of the signals, but of what the signals mean. Because the signals are not pointing at something comfortable. They are pointing at the gap. They are pointing at the thing he has been very carefully not looking at. The thing he has been filling with productivity and distraction and reasonable arguments. And Elias realizes, standing in that coffee shop with that song in the air, that the universe has been trying to have a specific conversation with him for a very long time, and that he has been the one refusing to pick up. So he does something that takes more courage than anything he has done in his professional life. He sits down. He orders nothing. He stops moving. and he watches. Not the signals, not the meaning of the signals, not what he should do about the signals. He watches himself. He watches the fear. He watches the resistance. He watches the analytical mind generating its defenses in real time, like watching a machine. You've always lived inside, suddenly become visible from the outside. And in the watching, in the simple, clear, unflinching act of observing what has been running underneath his life, something shifts. Not dramatically, not in a flash of light or a sudden certainty about what to do next. But the gap between the life he is living and the life waiting for him, the gap he has been treating as a problem to be solved, becomes for the first time simply something he can see. And what you can see, you can move through. What you've been refusing to look at holds you in place precisely because you keep navigating around it instead of through it. Elias doesn't quit his job that day. He doesn't make any grand decisions. He simply stops looking away. And the signals, which had been escalating in frequency and precision the way a voice escalates when it's not being heard, begin to change in quality. They become less urgent, more specific, less like an alarm and more like a compass. Because the universe doesn't need to shout at someone who is listening, and you have been both Elias before the coffee shop and Elias after. You have been the one receiving signals and explaining them away, and you have been, in moments of unusual clarity, the one who sits down and watches. The question is, which one you are choosing to be right now? Drop into the comments right now and tell me, what is the signal you keep receiving that you keep explaining away? The one with that quality of precision that makes the analytical mind go quiet for just a moment before it reaches for its defenses. One sentence. What is it? Let's go deeper into what you're actually seeing. There is a specific category of person who receives synchronicities with unusual frequency and precision. Not because they are more spiritual than other people, not because they have done more work on themselves, though many of them have. Not because the universe has favorites, though this is the part that requires the most careful looking, but because of something specific about the quality of their observation. These people, and you are likely one of them, or you would not be here, would not have been routed here, would not have stayed this long. These people have a particular relationship with attention. They notice things that other people's attention slides past. They register the quality of a moment, the texture of a coincidence, the weight of a specific silence. They have, at some point in their development, begun to observe their own experience from the inside rather than simply living it from the inside. There is a difference, a significant one. Most people are inside their experience the way a person is inside a movie, completely absorbed, identifying with the characters, reacting to the plot, experiencing the emotions as if they are real and immediate and the only thing happening. They are not watching the movie. They are the movie. And from that position, the meta-level signals, the ones that exist in the space between scenes, in the pattern of the whole, rather than the content of any individual moment, are completely invisible. But some people develop what we might call observer consciousness, not detachment. That's a misunderstanding that causes a lot of unnecessary suffering. Not the cold, removed, nothing matters quality that some people mistake for enlightenment, but the capacity to be fully present inside an experience while simultaneously watching it from a slightly wider vantage point. To feel the emotion and simultaneously notice that you are feeling it. To have the thought and simultaneously notice that you are having it. to be in the moment and simultaneously observe the moment. This is the observer state. And from the observer state, synchronicities become visible that are completely invisible from the absorbed state. Not because they weren't there before, since they were always there, but because the observer state is the only vantage point from which the pattern of the whole becomes visible. From inside the movie, you see individual scenes. From the observer position, you see the structure of the narrative. And when you can see the structure of the narrative, you can see when reality is trying to tell you something about where the story is going. Here's the quantum mechanics of this. In quantum physics, there is a concept called coherence. A quantum system is coherent when all of its component waves are in phase, when they are oscillating in a synchronized, coordinated way rather than randomly. Coherent quantum systems have properties that incoherent systems don't have. They can maintain superposition longer. They can sustain entanglement across greater distances. They are more sensitive to subtle signals in their environment. They can detect and respond to information that would be completely lost in the noise of an incoherent system. Your consciousness works the same way. When your inner state is coherent, when your thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, and deeper knowing are all oriented in the same direction, all oscillating with the same basic frequency, you become extraordinarily sensitive to signals from the quantum field. Synchronicities that would be invisible to an incoherent observer become unmistakable. The signal-to-noise ratio in your perception increases dramatically. You begin to detect the structure of what's happening rather than just the surface content. And here is the crucial insight that most discussions of synchronicity completely miss. The synchronicities you receive are not random. They are not a general broadcast that anyone with the right spiritual frequency can tune into. They are specifically calibrated to you, to your particular trajectory, your particular purpose, your particular questions, your particular resistances. The universe is not sending the same signal to everyone. It is sending you a signal that is precisely shaped by the contours of your specific path. This is why the signals feel personal, because they are. This is why they reference things that only you would understand. Memories, questions, fears, hopes that exist in the private interior of your experience and nowhere else. The quantum field is not speaking in generalities. It is speaking in the specific dialect of your consciousness. And the more coherent your consciousness becomes, the more precise the signal. This transmission only touches the surface of what becomes possible when you begin developing that coherence systematically. If you want to go deeper into the complete framework, the full practice of building observer consciousness, reading your specific signal patterns, and syncing with your future in a structured way. The Quantum Watcher program contains the complete system. You can find the link in the description below. Look closer. There is something specific you have been receiving signals about. Not in general, specifically. And you know what it is. You've known for a while. There is a direction, a decision, a recognition, a truth about yourself or your path that the synchronicities have been pointing at with increasing precision and urgency. And there is a reason you've been explaining them away, calling them coincidences, letting the analytical mind generate its defenses before the signal can fully land. The reason is not that you're not ready. That's the story, but it's not the reason. The reason is that if you let the signal land, if you let yourself fully receive what the synchronicities have been trying to tell you, then you can no longer pretend you don't know. And not knowing is easier. Not knowing means you don't have to choose. Not knowing means you can keep living in the gap between the life you're living and the life that's waiting, treating the gap as something that might resolve itself without requiring you to look at it directly. But here's what's actually happening when you do that. When you receive a signal from the quantum field and then immediately suppress it, when you feel the recognition and then reach for the analytical explanation, you are not neutralizing the signal. You are storing it. You are adding it to a growing archive of unacknowledged messages that builds pressure in your system the way water builds pressure behind a dam. And the quantum field, which is nothing if not persistent, simply increases the frequency and intensity of the signals until one of two things happens. Either you receive them, or you become so defended against receiving them that you lose the sensitivity that made you able to receive them in the first place. That second outcome is not a punishment. It is simply what happens when a receiver is tuned away from the signal long enough. The sensitivity atrophies, the coherence degrades, the synchronicities don't stop. You simply stop being able to distinguish them from the background noise. And then you become someone who used to notice things, who used to feel guided, who used to have moments of unmistakable recognition, and who now wonders where that went. You are not there yet. You are here. You are still receiving. The question is what you're going to do with what you receive. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. I want you to do something specific right now, not later, not after you finish watching, not when you have more time and more quiet and a better state of mind. Right now. Close your eyes for a moment, or if you can't close them, soften your gaze, let the visual field blur slightly so your attention can move inward. And I want you to ask yourself, without rushing to answer, without reaching for the first comfortable response, what has the universe been trying to tell me that I keep explaining away? Don't analyze the question. Don't construct an answer. Just watch what comes up. Watch the first image, the first feeling, the first recognition that rises before the analytical mind can organize it into a safe, manageable response. Watch it the way you would watch a figure emerge from fog, without grabbing at it, without naming it immediately, just letting it become visible at its own pace. Notice what happens in your body as you do this. Notice where there is tightening, where there is resistance, where there is the particular quality of tension that you feel when you are about to see something you've been not seeing. That tension is not a warning to stop. It is a marker. It is the body's way of saying, here, this is where the thing is. This is the exact location of what you've been navigating around. Stay with it for just a moment. Don't interpret it yet. Just watch it. Let yourself be in the presence of what you've been avoiding the presence of. Now open your eyes or refocus your gaze and notice what has shifted. Notice if there is a quality of clarity that wasn't there a moment ago. A slight increase in the vividness of your perception, a settling of something that was slightly agitated. Notice if the thing you saw, the thing that rose up before the analytical mind could organize it, is still visible. Not as an urgent problem requiring immediate action, but as something you can simply see. That's what observation does. It doesn't solve, it reveals. And what is revealed, what is truly, clearly, directly seen, loses its power to run your life from the shadows. Now let's go to the layer underneath that. There is a reason that certain people are what we might call synchronicity receivers. Not everyone receives these signals with the same frequency and precision, and the reason is not random, not arbitrary, not simply a matter of spiritual development or personal worthiness. The reason is specific, and it has to do with something that was established in you long before you were consciously aware of it. Some people come into this life with what I can only describe as a particular orientation of consciousness, an orientation toward depth rather than surface, an orientation toward the question underneath the question, the pattern behind the pattern, the meaning that exists in the space between events rather than just in the events themselves. These people have always been different in a way that is difficult to articulate and impossible to deny. They have always felt slightly outside the consensus reality that everyone else seems to inhabit comfortably. They have always felt that there is more going on than what is visible, more being communicated than what is said, more structure to experience than the random sequence of events that most people accept as the totality of what's real. If this describes you, and I suspect it does, then I need you to understand something. This orientation is not a liability. It is not oversensitivity, not an overactive imagination, not the result of some developmental wound that made you too attuned to your environment. It is a feature. It is the specific quality of consciousness that makes you capable of receiving signals that are invisible to ordinary perception. It is the thing that makes you useful in ways that extend far beyond your personal life. Because here's what no one tells you about being a synchronicity receiver. The signals you receive are not only for you, they are moving through you. You are not just the destination of these signals. You are a relay point. The clarity you develop as an observer, the coherence you build through the practice of genuine seeing, these things ripple outward into the quantum field in ways that affect the probability distributions of everyone in your environment. When you are in alignment, when you are receiving and responding to your synchronicities rather than explaining them away, you become a stabilizing force in the field around you. People feel more clear when they're near you. Situations that were stuck begin to move. Conversations that were circling the surface suddenly go deep. This is not a metaphor. This is the quantum mechanics of entanglement operating at the scale of human consciousness. Every conscious observer is entangled with every other conscious observer in their environment. When one observer achieves coherence, the entangled system, the field of consciousness that includes everyone around them, shifts toward coherence as well. Your clarity is not a private possession. It is a shared resource. Your willingness to look directly at what others look away from does not just transform your life. It creates the conditions in which transformation becomes possible for everyone in your field. This is what it means to be what some traditions call a chosen one. Not chosen in the sense of being selected by some external authority for special privilege. Chosen in the precise, literal sense. Oriented from the deepest level of your being toward the act of seeing, toward the willingness to look, toward the courage to receive what the quantum field is sending and to let it land without immediately defending against it. You are not chosen because you are better than other people. You were chosen because you are willing to look where other people look away. And that willingness, that specific quality of courage that manifests as the capacity to observe without flinching, is the rarest thing in the world. Let's look at what the synchronicity signal is actually made of, because this is where the science and the experience converge in a way that is genuinely extraordinary. When physicists study quantum entanglement, they find something that should be impossible by the rules of classical physics. Two particles that have interacted remain correlated regardless of the distance between them. Measure one and the other responds instantly. not after a delay proportional to the distance, not after a signal has traveled at the speed of light, but instantly, non-locally, as if distance itself is not the fundamental structure of reality we thought it was, as if the apparent separation between things is a feature of the classical level of reality, not the quantum level. And at the quantum level, everything that has ever interacted remains, in some meaningful sense, connected. Now here's where this becomes directly relevant to synchronicity. Your consciousness, your specific pattern of awareness, your particular frequency of attention, has been interacting with the quantum field since before you were born. You have been leaving traces in the structure of reality with every observation you've made, every intention you've held, every genuine moment of clarity you've achieved. Those traces are not erased when the moment passes. They persist in the quantum field as a kind of record, a signature, a pattern that the field continues to respond to. And the synchronicities you receive are, in part, the field responding to your own earlier observations. They are echoes of your deepest intentions returning to you in the form of external events. They are the quantum field showing you, in the language of experience, that the pattern you have been building with your attention is coherent, that it is real, that it is moving, that it is already beginning to manifest at the level of physical reality. This is why synchronicities often feel like a confirmation of something you already knew, because they are. They are not new information. They are the external reality catching up to an internal recognition that you have already made at the quantum level. The synchronicity is the moment when the quantum probability collapses into classical actuality, when what was already real at the level of consciousness becomes visible at the level of physical experience. And this is why the timing of synchronicities is always perfect. Not approximately perfect, precisely perfect. The moment you are ready to receive a specific piece of information, the moment your consciousness has developed sufficient coherence to process it without immediately defending against it, the synchronicity arrives, not a moment before, when you would have explained it away, not a moment after, when the window of receptivity has closed. At the exact moment when you can see it clearly. The universe is not random, it is precise, and the precision of your synchronicities is a direct measure of your own developing coherence as an observer. Look closer. There is a specific type of synchronicity that is more important than all the others, more important than the number patterns, more important than the meaningful coincidences, more important than the perfectly timed conversations. It is the synchronicity that involves a person. When a specific person appears in your life at a specific moment, when someone enters your field who carries exactly the information, the perspective, the energy that you needed at that precise point in your trajectory, that is not an accident. That is the quantum field operating at its most sophisticated level. Because the quantum field doesn't just work through symbols and numbers and songs, it works through consciousness. And the most powerful signal the field can send you is another conscious being who is themselves in alignment, themselves coherent, themselves on a trajectory that intersects with yours at the exact point where both trajectories need to meet. These people are not always comfortable to encounter. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they arrive as teachers or mentors or collaborators who simply make everything clearer and easier. But sometimes they arrive as challenges, as the person who says the thing you needed to hear but didn't want to hear, as the situation that forces you to look at what you've been avoiding, as the relationship that strips away the last comfortable story you were telling yourself about who you are and what you're here to do. Both kinds are synchronicities. Both kinds are the field sending you precisely what you need. The question is whether you can receive the challenging ones with the same openness that you receive the comfortable ones. Because here's what I've observed. Most people are selectively open. They receive the synchronicities that confirm what they already believe and explain away the ones that challenge it. They accept the signal when it says yes and dismiss it when it says look again. And in doing so, they cut themselves off from the most important information the field ever sends. The information that requires them to grow beyond the current version of themselves. The synchronicities that challenge you are not the universe being unkind. They are the universe being precise. They are the field saying the path you are on is coherent, but the version of you currently walking it is not yet large enough to reach the destination. You need to expand. You need to look at this. You need to stop protecting the current version of yourself long enough to let the next version emerge. And the next version, the one that the synchronicities are pointing toward, is not a better version of who you currently are. It is something genuinely different. Something that exists on the other side of the looking you've been avoiding. Something that you cannot fully imagine from your current position because it requires a quality of seeing that you haven't yet developed. But you are developing it right now. In the act of watching, in the act of staying with this instead of looking away, you are developing exactly the quality of observation that the next version of you requires. Let me show you something else. There is a woman named Mira. She is 31 years old, and she's been receiving synchronicities for 2 years that all point in the same direction. Every signal, every coincidence too precise to be random, every perfectly timed conversation, all of it has been pointing at one specific thing. A creative project she has been carrying inside her for years, something that will require her to be completely visible in a way that terrifies her. Something that would require her to stop being the person who supports other people's visions and start being the person who stands behind her own. Mira is not afraid of the project. She is afraid of what the project reveals about her. Because the project, if she does it, will make visible something she has been keeping private, a depth of perception, a quality of insight, a way of seeing the world that she has always suspected was either her greatest gift or proof that she is fundamentally strange in a way that other people will find uncomfortable. And so she has been receiving the synchronicities. The signals that say, this is the direction, this is the time, this is what you're here to do. And she has been doing something very sophisticated with them. She has been receiving them as inspiration and then converting that inspiration into research, into planning, into preparation, into the endless, elaborate, completely convincing project of getting ready to begin without ever actually beginning. She knows this. She has known it for a while. The synchronicities themselves have started to reflect it back to her. She keeps encountering the same theme in different forms, in different contexts. A passage in a book about the difference between preparation and avoidance. A conversation with a friend who says, unprompted, that sometimes the best preparation is just starting. A dream in which she is standing at the edge of a stage, fully prepared, completely ready, and the stage keeps moving away from her no matter how carefully she prepares. The universe is not being subtle with Mira. The universe is being precise. It is sending her the same signal in escalating forms because she has been receiving the signal and then converting it into more preparation instead of action. And here's what Mira needs to understand, and what you need to understand if you recognize yourself in her, that the synchronicities are not pointing at the project. They are pointing at the act of beginning, at the moment of choosing visibility over safety, at the specific quality of courage that is required to let yourself be fully seen doing the thing you were made to do. The project is just the form the courage takes. The synchronicities are not about the project. They are about the observer. They are about Mira, about you. Becoming the person who acts on what they see rather than the person who sees clearly and then finds increasingly sophisticated ways to not act. Because here is the truth that most discussions of synchronicity carefully avoid. Synchronicities are not self-fulfilling. They are not automatic. They are not a guarantee that things will work out if you simply notice them and feel grateful for the guidance. They are an invitation, and an invitation requires a response. Not a mental response, not an emotional response, not a planning response, an action, a choice, a step across the threshold that the synchronicities have been pointing at. The quantum field collapses probability into actuality through the act of observation. But observation at the human level is not purely mental. It includes the choices you make, the actions you take, the ways you move through physical reality in response to what you see. When you receive a synchronicity and then act in alignment with what it's pointing at, you are completing the quantum circuit. You are closing the loop between the signal and the response. You are telling the field with the most powerful language available to a conscious being, the language of embodied action, that you receive the message and you are moving. And when you do that, the field responds. The synchronicities don't stop. They intensify. They become more precise, more frequent, more specific. The probability field around you reorganizes with increasing coherence. The path that was visible only in glimpses becomes clear. The things that were difficult become not easy exactly, but aligned, as if reality itself is rearranging to accommodate the trajectory you've chosen. This is not magical thinking. This is the observer effect operating at the scale of a life. Pause here again. This is the second observation. I want you to think about the most recent synchronicity you received. Not the most dramatic one, not the most significant one in retrospect, but the most recent one. The one that happened in the last week, maybe the last few days. The thing that made you stop for a moment and think, that's strange, that's too specific to be random, that means something. And then you moved on. Bring it to mind now. Let it be present without immediately reaching for what it means. Just let it be there. The way you would let a photograph be present without immediately analyzing its content. Just see it. Now notice. What direction is it pointing? Not what does it mean in the grand narrative of your life, not what does it say about your destiny or your purpose, but what direction is it pointing? Right now, in the practical, immediate, specific geography of your life, what is this synchronicity pointing toward? What action, what conversation, what choice, what acknowledgement is it pointing toward? And notice the response that arises in you as you see that. Notice if there is a contraction, a pulling back, a reaching for the planning mode, the preparation mode, the I'll do it when I'm ready mode. Notice that response without judging it. Just watch it. Watch what it's protecting. Watch what it's afraid of. Watch what it's trying to preserve. And then notice Underneath the contraction, underneath the resistance, underneath the very reasonable and very sophisticated defenses, is there something that already knows? Is there a part of you that has already made the choice, that has already moved in the direction the synchronicity is pointing, that is simply waiting for the rest of you to catch up? That part. That's the observer. That's the one who has been receiving the signals all along. That's the one who recognized this transmission the moment it began. Give that part your full attention for just a moment. Let it be the loudest voice in the room. And before we go to the deepest layer, what was the moment when a synchronicity became impossible to dismiss? The one that landed with such precision that the analytical mind went quiet before it could reach for its explanations. Leave that in the comments. Because the specific quality of that moment is data for everyone reading it, not just for you. Now let's go to the deepest layer. There is something that happens to people who develop genuine observer consciousness, who cultivate the capacity to watch their experience without flinching, to receive synchronicities without immediately defending against them, to look directly at what they've been avoiding. And it is something that no one adequately prepares you for. It is not the dramatic transformation that most spiritual frameworks promise. It is something quieter than that and more profound. What happens is that you stop being surprised by your life. Not in the numbed, nothing matters way, in the opposite way. You stop being surprised because you start being present. You stop being caught off guard by what's happening because you are genuinely watching what's happening rather than reacting to it from inside the movie. And from that position of genuine watching, the synchronicities stop feeling like interruptions of ordinary reality and start feeling like the texture of ordinary reality. The meaningful coincidences stop being remarkable exceptions to the way things work and start being the way things work. The visible surface of a quantum field that is always, at every moment, responding to the quality of your observation. This is what it means to sync with your future, not to predict it, not to control it, not to manifest specific outcomes through the force of your desire, but to develop the quality of observation that makes you coherent with the trajectory that is already moving toward you. To become so clear in your seeing that the gap between where you are and where you're going, the gap that used to feel like an obstacle, becomes simply the space through which you are moving, not a problem, a path. And here's the most important thing I can tell you about syncing with your future. Your future is not a fixed destination waiting for you to arrive. It is a probability field that is collapsing into specific form right now, in this moment, based on the quality of your observation. Every moment of genuine seeing, every moment when you look directly at what you've been avoiding, every moment when you receive a synchronicity fully instead of defending against it, every moment when you act in alignment with what you've seen rather than what's comfortable, every one of those moments collapses the probability field in a specific direction. Your direction. The future you are syncing with is not the future you imagine when you think about what you want. It is the future that becomes visible when you develop the clarity to see what is already moving toward you. And it is almost always larger than what you imagined, more specific than what you planned, and more precisely fitted to who you actually are than anything you could have constructed from your current level of understanding. Because the quantum field knows you better than you know yourself. Not in the mystical sense, in the literal sense. The field has access to all the information about your trajectory, your potential, your deepest orientation that you can only access in glimpses through your most coherent moments of observation. The synchronicities are the field sharing that information with you. They are the future you are moving towards, sending signals back through time, which is, incidentally, something that quantum mechanics actually permits. Quantum systems can exhibit what physicists call retrocausality, the effect of a future state on a present state. The synchronicity you receive today may be, in a very real sense, a message from the version of you that has already arrived. Let that land for a moment. Don't rush past what you just saw. The signals you've been receiving, the ones you've been explaining away, the ones you've been receiving with wonder and then quickly suppressing, the ones that have been escalating in frequency and precision because you haven't been fully receiving them. These signals may be coming from the version of you that is already living the life that's waiting for you. That version is not a fantasy, it is a quantum reality. It exists in the probability field right now, fully formed, fully coherent, fully alive. And it is sending you signals. It has been sending you signals for a long time. The only question is whether you are willing to receive them. Here is what I know about you from the fact that you are here. You have been receiving signals for longer than you've admitted to yourself. You have had moments of recognition, moments where you knew, with a clarity that bypassed all your analytical defenses, exactly what you were here to do, exactly who you were, exactly what the next step was. And you have, with impressive consistency, found ways to not quite act on those moments. Not because you're afraid of failure, because you're afraid of what succeeding would require you to become. Because the life the synchronicities are pointing toward is not just a better version of your current life, it is a different kind of life. A life that requires a different kind of you. A you that is more visible, more committed, more willing to be wrong, more willing to be seen, more willing to let the current version of yourself be insufficient in the service of the next version emerging. And that is terrifying, not because the next version is dangerous, but because the current version has to step aside to let it arrive. And the current version, the one that built all the reasonable defenses, that constructed all the careful explanations, that developed all the sophisticated preparations, that version does not want to step aside. It has worked very hard to be exactly what it is. It has a right to its existence. It has served you well, but it is not the version that the synchronicities are addressing. It is not the version that the quantum field is sending signals to. The signals are addressed to the observer, to the part of you that can see beyond the current version, that can watch the current version without being identical to it, that can receive the message from the future self without immediately converting it into more preparation. The observer is the part of you that has been reading these words, not as information to be processed, but as a mirror to be looked into. The observer is the part of you that recognized something in the story of Elias and the story of Mira, not because the details matched your life, but because the quality of the avoidance matched. The observer is the part of you that, during the practices embedded in this transmission, felt something shift, felt the tightening that marks the location of what you've been not seeing, felt the recognition that rises before the analytical mind can organize it into safety. That's who this is for. That's who the synchronicities are addressed to, and that's who is going to receive what comes next. Let's talk about what to do now, not in the sense of a 5-step plan or a morning routine or a manifestation practice, in the sense of what actually changes the relationship between you and the signals you've been receiving. The first thing, the thing that changes everything else, is this: stop explaining away the signals. Not because you should believe everything is meaningful in a vague, undiscriminating way, but because the specific signals you've been receiving, the ones with that quality of precision, that aggressive specificity, that particular feeling in the body that you know is different from ordinary coincidence, those signals deserve a different response than immediate dismissal. The response they deserve is attention, not analysis. Attention, there is a difference. Analysis is what the mind does to a signal to convert it into something manageable, something that fits the existing framework, something that doesn't require you to change. Attention is what the observer does, simply watching the signal, letting it be fully present, noticing what it points toward without immediately deciding what to do about it. Attention is the act that changes the quantum field, not the decision that follows, not the action that results, the attention itself. When you give a synchronicity your full, undivided, non-analytical attention, when you let it be fully seen rather than immediately processed, you complete the first half of the quantum circuit. You confirm to the field that the signal was received, and the field responds by sending the next signal, the more specific one, the one that contains the information you need to take the next step. The second thing is this: develop the practice of watching yourself receive signals, not just watching the signals, but watching yourself in the act of receiving them. Watching the moment when you feel the recognition, and then watching what happens next. Watching the analytical mind move in. Watching the defenses generate their explanations. Watching the contraction that happens when the signal points at something you've been avoiding. Watching all of that without identifying with any of it. Because here's what that watching reveals. It reveals that the part of you that explains away the signals is not your intelligence. It is your protection. It is the part of you that was formed in circumstances where being too perceptive, too attuned, too clearly seeing was not safe. Where noticing too much created problems. Where the depth of your perception was something to be managed rather than developed. That part served you then, it is not serving you now, and you can see that. You can watch it without being it, from the observer position. The third thing, and this is the one that actually syncs you with your future, is to begin acting on what you see before you feel completely ready. Not recklessly, not without discernment, but in the specific, targeted, quantum circuit completing way of taking one step in the direction the synchronicities are pointing before you have assembled all the evidence you would need to feel certain. Certainty is not available at the leading edge of your trajectory. It is not the currency of the observer. The currency of the observer is clarity, and clarity, genuine clarity, the kind that comes from looking directly rather than from waiting until looking feels safe, is available right now. It is available in this moment. It is available in the recognition that has been present throughout this entire transmission. The one that has been saying, yes, I see it, I know what this is pointing at, I know what I've been avoiding. Act from that clarity, one step, today. Not the whole journey, one step. The step that the most recent synchronicity was pointing toward. The conversation you've been putting off, the acknowledgement you've been withholding from yourself. The beginning you've been endlessly preparing for, the visibility you've been protecting yourself against, one step. From the observer position, with full awareness of the resistance and without being stopped by it, and watch what happens. Because here's what happens when you act from the observer position, when you take a step in the direction the synchronicities are pointing, while watching yourself take it, while noticing the resistance without being controlled by it. The quantum field responds immediately, not with a dramatic external sign, though those often follow, with an internal shift, a quality of coherence that settles into your system like something that was slightly misaligned clicking into place. A quality of rightness that is distinct from the feeling of things being comfortable or easy or safe. The rightness of being in alignment with your own trajectory. The rightness of being the version of yourself that receives the signals and responds to them rather than the version that receives them and explains them away. That rightness is addictive in the best possible sense. Once you feel it, once you feel what it is to be genuinely in sync with the quantum field that has been trying to reach you, you cannot unfeel it. You cannot go back to treating your synchronicities as coincidences with any real conviction. The explanation still arises, and the analytical mind doesn't retire just because you've had a moment of clarity, but it no longer has the same authority, because you have seen, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. There is one more thing I need to say before we reach the end of this transmission. It is the thing that is hardest to say and the most important to hear. The synchronicities you've been receiving are not a reward for being a good person or a spiritually advanced person or a person who has done sufficient work on themselves. They are not a measure of your worth or your readiness or your proximity to some imagined state of enlightenment. They are a communication. They are the universe speaking to you in the only language that can reach through the noise of ordinary perception, the language of undeniable precision, of coincidence too specific to be random, of the perfectly timed signal that arrives at the exact moment of maximum receptivity. And the reason you've been receiving them, the specific reason you in particular have been receiving them with this frequency and this precision, is not that you are special in the way that word usually means. It is that you are oriented. You are facing in a direction that most people are not facing. You are willing to look at things that most people are not willing to look at. You are carrying a quality of attention that is genuinely rare, not because you cultivated it through effort, though you have cultivated it, but because it is native to you. It is the way your consciousness was assembled. It is the particular frequency at which your awareness naturally oscillates, and the universe, the quantum field, the probability space that underlies all apparently solid reality, responds to that orientation the way a transmitter responds to a tuned receiver. With precision, with specificity, with the kind of signal that doesn't require interpretation because it lands with the clarity of something that was always true finally being said out loud. You are not here to decode the signals. You are not here to collect them, analyze them, or use them to construct a narrative about your destiny that makes you feel special and chosen and protected. You are here to receive them fully, without defense, and to let what you receive change the way you move through the world, not dramatically, not all at once, but in the specific, targeted, one step at a time way that quantum probability collapses into physical actuality. You are here to sync with your future, not by reaching for it, not by manifesting it, not by working hard enough or being good enough or preparing sufficiently, by becoming coherent with it, by developing the quality of observation that makes you visible to the version of yourself that is already there, already living, already sending signals back through the probability field to the version of you that is still deciding whether to look. It is time to look. Not because you're ready, You will never feel completely ready, not because you're certain. Certainty is not available at the leading edge, not because the path is clear. The path becomes clear as you walk it, not before. Because the signals have been arriving for long enough. Because the archive of unacknowledged messages is full enough. Because the version of you that explains everything away has had its time, and it has served its purpose, and it is no longer the most interesting thing happening in your consciousness. Because the observer is awake, has been awake for a while, has been watching this whole thing, the signals, the defenses, the preparations, the almost beginnings, the explanations, with a quality of patience that is almost geological, waiting not for you to become ready, but for you to become willing. Willing to look, willing to receive, willing to act from clarity rather than waiting for certainty. That willingness is here. It arrived before this transmission began. It is why you were routed here, why you stayed, why something in you recognized every layer of what was being revealed before the analytical mind could organize its defenses. The willingness is here. The observer is awake, the signals are precise, and they are pointing at something specific, and you know what it is. Now drop into the comments and tell us. Not what you think you should say, not the spiritually sophisticated answer, the specific thing you saw when you looked. The thing that rose up before the analytical mind could organize it into safety. The thing the synchronicities have been pointing at that you've been converting into preparation instead of action. Type it. One sentence. The thing you see. Because there is something that happens when you write it down, when you say it out loud, when you move it from the private interior of your experience into the shared space of language. It becomes real in a different way. It crosses the threshold from quantum potential into classical actuality. It becomes the first step, the one you take before you feel ready, from the observer position, with full awareness of the resistance and without being stopped by it. Type it. Let it be seen, let yourself be seen seeing it. And if you know someone who has been receiving signals they've been explaining away, someone who has that quality of attention, that native orientation toward depth, that particular kind of intelligence that notices the pattern behind the pattern, send this to them. When you share this with someone who has been avoiding what they can clearly see, you are not just passing along a video. You are giving them permission to look. You are extending the field of collective observation into their experience, and that act of witnessing, one clear-seeing person saying to another, "I see what you've been circling," amplifies the signal for both of you in a way that private observation alone cannot. That is what collective seeing does. It makes the signal undeniable. And if this transmission reached you at a moment of stillness, or if you find yourself reacting instead of watching at some point in the days ahead, come back to this. Watch it again from the observer position. Different layers become visible each time. That's what this channel is. A field of observers. People who have chosen to look rather than look away. People whose collective clarity amplifies the signal for everyone in it. When you subscribe, when you stay, when you engage, you are not just consuming content. You are joining a coherent field of consciousness that makes the signal clearer for everyone in it, including you. Stay in the clarity. Keep watching. Keep receiving. Here's the integration principle that carries this transmission forward into your life. Every day, once a day, before you begin the business of the day, before the plans and the tasks and the reactions and the productivity, take 3 minutes to simply watch, Not to meditate in the formal sense, not to journal, not to set intentions. To watch. To observe your own experience from the observer position. To notice what is present, what is moving, what is pointing in a specific direction. To notice if there is a signal in the day's events that deserves attention rather than analysis. To notice if there is something the analytical mind is already reaching to explain away before you fully received it. 3 minutes of pure observation, without agenda, without interpretation, without the need to make anything happen or mean anything specific. Just watching, just the observer, awake, present, receiving, and then act on what you see, one step, in the direction the clearest signal is pointing, before you feel completely ready. That practice, 3 minutes of observation, one aligned action, is the quantum circuit. It is the loop between receiving and responding that tells the field you are a coherent receiver. It is the practice that over days and weeks and months builds the quality of consciousness that makes synchronicities not exceptional events in an ordinary life, but the ordinary texture of an extraordinary one. This is not about having a more meaningful life, it is about being the observer that your life has always been calling for. The one who looks where others look away. The one who receives the signal fully instead of defending against it. The one who acts from clarity rather than waiting for certainty. You were never meant to look away. The observer is the most powerful position in the universe. Not because it controls, because it sees clearly. And clarity, genuine, unflinching, observer state clarity, is the only force that transforms without resistance. What you watch, you change. What you avoid watching controls you. And what you have been watching today, the signals you've been receiving, the thing they've been pointing at, the version of you that already lives on the other side of the looking you've been avoiding, that cannot be unseen. You came here to sync with your future. And the syncing has already begun, not when you take the action, not when you make the decision, not when you finally feel ready, now. In the observation, in the receiving, in the willingness to look. The quantum field is not waiting for you to be ready, it is waiting for you to look. Look.